Our media availabilities for today. We're now joined by Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 12 Worth Ford for Team Penske. Ryan, you had some news this week. He signed an extension with Team Penske. What does that mean for you and your career?
Yeah, it's great to announce that, and awesome to continue with Penske. They've been amazing to me over the last 10 years. I got to talking to RP about, like, can you believe it's been 10 years since I first walked in the door in the early fall of 2012, and it's time flies, that's for sure. So it's been a really cool 10 years, and looking forward to continue that on for a long time. So, but great to get that out there. Obviously, the silly season side of it, it's nice to not be in those talks and have a home because they have been like family to me, and looking forward to carrying on with them.
We will go ahead and start with questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we will come over to you. We'll start right down here.
Nathan Sun with the podium finish, Ryan. A long-term deal is what Penske described it as. It's, likely through the new TV deal. I'm just curious, how does those economics kind of play into your contract with just the new TV deal? And do you think it's an advantage that you're now contracted into the new TV deal whenever that gets set?
Those were small discussions when we started talking about, the extension and stuff like that. I don't know many details about the TV, deal. You hear things here and there, but nothing's really set in stone yet. And I don't think they start open the bidding wars for those for a little bit. So, that was a little part of our conversations, but I think it's still early enough, before that deal gets signed or whatever, the TV stuff that wasn't a huge factor in my decision making, with the team. So I just came to terms, and we were both very, very happy with them. And that didn't play a huge deal. But I'm excited to see where the TV stuff ends up. That's something I think everyone's looking forward to.
And then for the next couple of weeks, you're still trying to lock yourself in the playoffs. Two sort of kind of wild card races here with Watkins Glen and Daytona. Just kind of what's the approach and mindset here with just 2 races left and still trying to point your way in or win your way in?
Yeah, honestly, it's the same mindset as the second or third race of the year. You obviously, I don't think it's just the time of year when is why it gets talked about more, obviously. But you always want to go out and win races. You always want to do well in stages and beat everybody else. There's really no way to approach it any differently. You just try to do the best you can and maximize your day. That's really all we can do. We can't control anyone else's day. I can't control Martin's day. You can't control mine or anyone else in the field. So you just focus on yourself the best you can and go out and try to do what you normally do and try to figure out a way to win the race and do well. That's the end of the day. If we do our job to the best of our abilities, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's just the way it falls. But the biggest thing we can do is just worry about our group.
We'll come down here to the front.
Cole Cusimano with the Arizona Republic. You mentioned your mindset staying the same the next 2 weeks, but what kind of Ryan Blaney are we going to see on track the next 2 weeks, and how will that kind of differ from the prior races this season?
Oh, I don't know. I don't plan on changing my name anytime soon. No. I think same name will be on the door. I don't know. I think you might get in spots where you'll be a little bit more aggressive at times, right? But that's just a given. That's just what you got to be in. It depends the situation you're in. Like last week at Richmond, I spent no time passing Martin. I immediately put the bumper to him just because I'm not spending any time. And you're not wrecking people, but you're a little bit more aggressive in wanting to get ahead of them to try to set yourself up. So, it's just situational. But yeah, I don't think you'll see a huge change. But I'll talk to y'all if there is a big change. I'm sure I will.
Awesome. And then most guys look at this as like a last-ditch effort maybe with Daytona looming. How do you feel looking at Daytona next week, having all the success there you've had?
Yeah, I feel good about both these weekends. As good as you can feel. I enjoy coming here. I look forward to it, and really excited to see what we got here in a little bit because our speed at Indy was really good. This place is different than Indy, but there's still things you can kind of take away from it and apply that makes you excited. So I'm looking forward to this one. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Daytona, you never know what can happen. We've had success there years past. Last year in that race, the 500 this year, our cars were fast, but you just never know what's going to happen. You can we say it all the time, get wiped out in someone else's mess, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you have to accept it going into that place that might happen. So we'll see. You just got to stay in both of these races. You just want to stay in the game, and that's all you can plan on doing.
We'll go to Bob, then Dustin, Zach, and then Marty.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. So, like, are you more nervous? Do you lose a little more sleep this week because of this situation, or are you just even keel?
I've slept great this week. No different than any other time. Like I said, I mean, you just can't stress yourself out about it. I mean, whether it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen, whether you make the playoffs or not. And there's only two choices and two options, and you can't just stress out about the negatives of what if we don't make it. If you're stressing yourself out about that, your mind is set on you're not going to make it. So you just have to have a open mind, I think, of either thing can happen. You just have to do your best. So no, I haven't lost any sleep, haven't really worried about it, and I think the same goes for all our guys on our team. They've been really even keeled about it and just understand, hey, we just got to do our best, and this team's fast enough to go do it and make it. Just have to control what we can control, really, which is good. I really enjoyed how everyone's mindset is the same, and I think that's how it should be.
Got Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Couple questions. Obviously, with the road course, there can be a lot of different strategies, and you could be on one that's different than Martin, or somebody else could be on a different one up at the front. How do you want to understand that? How do you focus on what you've got to do when at some point you could be out, at another point you could be in? How do you address that? How do you want to handle that Sunday? Yeah, I mean, it's, Jonathan and I talked all week of kind of what we're baseline thinking of strategy-wise, when you want to stop, all that stuff, what you want to do in the stages. But at the same time, you have to be willing to kind of switch that up no matter, how cautions fall or things like that. So I think, Jonathan, for sure, and we've talked, you're going to be aware of what the 19's doing. Like, hey, okay, they're going for stage points, or they're going for, setting themselves up to win the race. And it's kind of how fast your car is. If you feel like you have a car fast enough to win, you're going to set yourself up for, the end of the race and try to win the race. If you don't think you can win, okay, maybe you go for the stage point route and then see where you can claw your way back to in the last stage. So some of that is situational, but he and I have talked about some plans and strategies in whatever spot we're in. And hopefully hopefully we get the right one. That's really all I can hope for. And to be on the same track as Kimi. Obviously, there are a number of international drivers, but certainly not one of his caliber or his history. You joked about sitting in a seat. What does it mean to be on the same track with him? Yeah, it's a special seat. Might take it with me. I mean, it's cool. Honestly, when they announced that, I was looking forward to it because I think it's really healthy for us as a sport to have all these different, drivers from other motorsports that want to come in and try it. Kimi, Kvyat, all these different guys who want to try their hand in it. So, I don't think I look forward to racing with him. I'm a big fan of his. Growing up as a kid, enjoyed watching him race, and his demeanor is very, very awesome and hilarious. I love watching his interviews and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just really cool, and I think it grows our sport. And it's great that what Trackhouse is doing with that program of theirs. I think it's really, really smart and a great program. So I think it's a healthy thing for our sport, and I hope he has fun tomorrow. So might you put Iceman 2 above your door? I can't steal his thing. No.
We'll go to Zach, and then to Marty, and then down here in the front.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Ryan, I'm curious, throughout the contract negotiation process, was there ever a thought for you to explore other options? I know how complimentary you've been of Team Penske and just how great things have been there, but was there ever a thought of just seeing what's out there?
No, not really. There was really never a thought of talking to anybody else. I personally, at this stage, I've been there for so long, and they've been so great to me and a family to me, and RP has done a lot for me. Not only RP, Walt Zarnicki, Tim Cindric, Mike Nelson. I mean, they've all done so much for me and have opened up a lot of doors, and I really didn't want to go anywhere. I couldn't really see any myself anywhere. Just really happy where I'm at, surrounded by great men and women, and really happy that they feel the same and they want me around.
And then I know there's been so much talk about the playoffs and whatnot, but assuming you do get there, what do you feel like the ceiling of this team is right now? Because I know the goal isn't just to get there; it's to perform when you're there. What do you feel like that ceiling is?
Yeah, I think our ceiling's pretty high. I look back on our year so far, and it's been a really good year. I mean, the wins haven't come. We've been really consistent, sitting second in points. It's been a good year. It's just minus the wins, which is unfortunate. You'd rather have the wins and be very inconsistent. You've seen a couple guys be that way this year, but it eases your mind when you're locked in. But I feel like if we can get there, in a couple weeks, I think we'll have a great shot, to make a long run in it, because this team's really consistent. We found really good speed. It's just a matter of being able to get into the playoffs and see what we got. So I've been proud of the year. It's just to make it a great year, it'd just be to win a race or two already, and hopefully we can get that done and not have to worry about are we going to be in or not here come next week.
Does it change your perception of your regular season if you don't make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be very disappointed about if you don't make it. But I haven't really thought about that, honestly, just because you don't want to think about not making them. You're focused on trying to do that goal. But yeah, it would be unfortunate. But hopefully that don't happen. We'll cross that bridge if it does come. So.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Marty in the back of that, and then back here in the front, and then to Chris.
That's been me. Marty Sakala, Rock Sports Network, Race Pro Weekly. Ryan, just following up on what Dustin was asking you, with that fork in the road when it comes to these road courses, are you looking at stage points more than you've ever have in the past? I mean, this weekend, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, the road courses are a big opportunity to get stage points. I thought we played it really well at Indy, kind of maximizing that day of being able to get a lot of stage points and find ourselves up towards the front of the field towards the end of the race. You never know how it's going to play out here compared to Indy. You never know what people are going to do strategy-wise, pitting-wise. You never know what other teams are thinking. But yeah, this is a great place to do it. I look back at Road America. Our car, we were really bad. We were really far off. But we decided, during that race, since we were far off and not really going anywhere from where we qualified, like, all right, we're going to stay out in the stages. We ended up winning a stage, and then clawed our way back to 11th, I think, by the end of the race. So we made a decent day out of it. But at that point, you didn't have a car that could win, we didn't think. So at Indy, I felt like we had a car that could win the race, and we played it really, really well. So a lot of that is seeing how, like I said, how you get going, what speed's in your car, and then you have to make some of those decisions on the fly. But yeah, I mean, stage points are obviously really important. We've done a good job of getting those all year to keep us in a pretty decent position. And but yeah, like I said, a lot of it is kind of making a decision in the moment. You have your plan. Sometimes that plan doesn't really work out, and you have to be able to improvise.
I know you're taking it one race at a time, but how much have you been thinking about Daytona, since I believe that's the last track you won at, and you came oh so close to winning the 500 last year?
Yeah, I've thought about it a little bit. Go back and you watch the 500 and kind of see how that race plays out, right? You always watch film from previous races and figure out what you can do better. But I haven't put a ton of thought into it yet. Just kind of minor stuff of, writing down some things that, Josh and I talk about of, hey, let's do this better. Let's watch out for this or that. But yeah, I mean, Sunday night or Monday morning, you shift 100% focus. So not too much right now.
And then one more. I saw Dave's bringing the 410 sprint to Utica Rome tonight. Any plans to go watch that?
I watched him last night at Outlaw. He was running okay, and they forgot to tighten a bolt on the left front tie rod, so which is not good. But yeah, I enjoyed going out there last night. He's running all three. He ran last night, tonight, and he's running tomorrow night as well. So that's cool. I was able to go see him tonight. I don't think I'll make it out there, or it was good to see him last night. I don't think I'll make it out there tonight, but it's cool that he's still racing and still's got it. So it's neat. Yep.
We'll come down here in the front, and then we're going to wrap with Chris in the back.
Michael Finley, FormStretch.com. Ryan, what is it about Penske that allows for so many long-term partnerships? You just extended your contract. Rusty was with the team for 15 years. Brad with 12. Joey's in his 10th. What is it? What's the X factor, essentially, with Penske?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really neat. Right when you said that, it brings me back to there's a wall in Penske of people who have worked there for 10 years and 20-plus years. And it's hundreds of people on that list. And I think the culture there and how they treat everybody, over there, whether you're a driver, a truck driver, a mechanic, working the fab shop, they're all the same. They treat everybody the same. They treat everybody with the utmost respect. And that, initially starts with RP, and it works its way down to everybody, who works for him, who have had the privilege and honor to be associated with him. It becomes a culture over there that, you just enjoy working over there because they treat you so well and with a lot of respect, like I said. So, it's wild, and it's really, really cool to see the commitment of not only people who've worked there, but sponsors and partners who have been there for over 20 years. It's amazing. And that just shows the kind of person or the kind of precedent that RP puts on all his people who have worked for him of how to treat everybody else. And I think it's the right way to do it, that's for sure. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you've had people from drivers to men and women who've worked there that have been there for 10, 15, 20 years. That's not a coincidence. Roger has made them definitely feel welcome and wants them to work there, and they want to do the same.
We'll take a final question from Chris.
Chris Knight, GuideScience.com. Brian, do you think tomorrow's race will be as aggressive as ever as it continues to be inching closer to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so, to an extent. It's hard to tell, but I don't foresee it being like as aggressive as a Indy coming down to the end of those races, even if we get a couple late race restarts. Just front stretch hitting the same. Indy's, the front stretch is just so wide, and you have such a long front straightaway to pile it off into one. Here, it's a lot tougher to get into turn one than Indy. It's not flat. You're downhill, and you're already trying not to wreck. So I don't think you'll see that amount of aggression. I don't know. It's hard to tell. If going into Indy, I probably wouldn't have thought the same, or I probably would have thought the same, and I was wrong. So you can't tell, but I think so to some extent. I feel like if you got some guys who are up towards the front at the end of the race, who haven't won yet, who are on the outside, way outside in points, yeah, maybe they're going to be really aggressive because they have to take every chance to get. I got to do. Me and Martin got to do the same. If you're up at the front towards the end of that race with a shot to win, you have to take a chance. You're not going to go bowling through 3 or 4 guys. At least I'm not. But you have to be aggressive, and you have to be on the aggressive side and not be the one getting kind of pushed over. But sometimes it's hard to defend. But yeah, I just don't know. It just depends on where the cautions fall. I think towards the end, I think you'll see the most aggressiveness at Daytona next week for sure. No problem.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, everybody.